Oh, thanks. That's awkward. So I'm going to take you back to 2013. Everyone remember 2013, pre-COVID? I was a young, bright, shiny, fluffy-tailed new marketing consultant. Very exciting time in my life. And I was working for one of the first technology-enabled freight brokers. Yeah, everyone? Super sexy? Yeah? No, not a single person. Excellent. So we did a lot of cool stuff with trucks. Trucks, planes, and boats are my jam. I'm a huge fan of trucks, planes, and boats. But I was working for one of the first tech-enabled freight brokers. Very sexy, all the trucks. I had 25 reps on the floor, and I had 8 reps on a desk. And these 8 reps were sort of testing my fun marketing hypotheses, right? So imagine like Wolf of Wall Street with like backwards hats, flip-flops, and less illegal activity. Cool? Right, so you have the kind of vision of where we are in 2013. I have these 8 reps on a desk, and I'm using a new shiny tool in 2013 called, drumroll, Outreach. Cool. So Outreach is now a business worth $4 or $5 billion. They're really big, but at the time it was Outreach kind of scotch taped together with SendGrid. Okay? So every night, this group of 8 people would go home, and I would send 800 emails on their behalf. And overnight, people would reply to those emails, and those 8 people would come in the next morning, and they would book a load. Very exciting. I know that no one in this room is excited about booking loads. Trust me, these guys wanted to book loads, okay? So they come in, and they were coming in every morning, they were replying, and the reply we called a marketing qualified lead, or an MQL. As we started doing this, we had about a 32% MQL rate. Anyone that understands math in the room will be like, wow, that's a lot. Like it is, it was big, it's big numbers, right? 32% MQL, but Shannon kept getting 4 or 5 points better than the rest of the team, which frankly really irritated me because Shannon wasn't really doing any of the work. She was just coming in the morning and responding to these emails, right? And these emails were pretty innocuous. This was, hey, I've got trucks in Chicago, I've got a load I need to move in Memphis, who's got stuff for me in Tallahassee, right? And Shannon's getting these extra points, and the only thing different about Shannon, anybody? Shannon's the only girl. Duh, turn the boys into girls. So we did. So Bob becomes Rachel, Joe became Sheila, we had a whiteboard behind us with who was who, Bob went to the bathroom, we made sure that Rachel's, avatar picked it up, etc. Ended up with a 38% marketing qualified lead rate across the board. Everyone was happy, crushing the quarter, the leads are getting booked, it's awesome. So I go to dinner with a friend of mine, she was actually a big deal at G2 Crowd at the time, and she said, well, who are you emailing, right? Like, who is your ideal customer profile? And I said, well, it's trucks. So truck drivers, essentially. She's like, okay, truck drivers, cool. Turn them into strippers. So we did. So we had Bambi and Candy and Angel. And because we're recording, I will not tell you the punchline of the joke. You can find me after, and I will tell you the subject line of the email that got us a 98% open rate from Bambi at cargochief.com, but I won't say it on camera. So, super fun. We end up with a 98% open rate on an email, 38% MQL. We are crushing it. The guys I'm working for are so happy. I'm like queen of the hill, right? We're crushing it. And then SendGrid figures out that we are making up email addresses and shut the whole thing down. But it was awesome, and we crushed it for that quarter. I share this mostly silly story for you to talk about the 3 big things that really are all about B2B demand gen. I don't love the word marketing. We talk about go-to-market, and I very specifically am a B2B demand gen expert, even more specifically for supply chain, but you can take the things that we've learned. And we learned so much that we wrote a book about it. Hey! The book comes out on October 19th. You can buy a copy and text me, and I will Venmo you back the 20 bucks. So exciting. We're really pumped about the book. The book is 9 pieces of a matrix, 3 of which we're going to talk about today. 1, the first, share good news. We don't like to use the word brand, mostly because our customers in supply chain think brand is a 4-letter word, right? So we talk about share good news. Share good news has a few elements. One is it must be relevant to your ideal customer profile. Spoiler alert, nobody cares about you. Sorry, nobody cares about you, they care about themselves. So it must be relevant, it must be timely, and it must be market specific. Those three things are a requirement for your sharing of good news. Once you share that good news, you need to make sure you're sharing it with the right who. The who is more important than the what. You can write the most beautiful marketing campaign. It can have the most beautiful language. You can work on your subject line for months and months and months. It can be the most perfect value proposition for your business. And if you send it to my mother-in-law, she's not buying. She's a lovely lady, by the way. Lovely lady, but she's not buying from anyone in this room, right? The who is more important than the what. You can't monetize an audience you haven't built. Like Lori mentioned, you can't walk into a bar and ask the person in front of you to marry you. You just can't even ask them for a drink, right? So sending emails to people and spamming them and asking them for 15 minutes, et cetera, we all hate it. We don't do that anymore, right? The who, your ideal customer profile, is more important than the what. So step one, share good news. Step two, track interest. We happen to be a HubSpot diamond shop. We know a lot about CRMs, but the most important question we ask 100% of our customers when we get started with them, here it is, ready? Do you own every email address of the humans that could buy from you? Anyone feel confident that you own every email address of every human who could buy from you? You cannot track the interest of the individuals who can buy from you if you don't own their email addresses. Now, big difference between the word record and lead. So a note on the word record versus lead. A record is simply an email address, maybe a phone number if you're lucky. It is not a lead. Don't give records any more than they deserve, right? Records don't deserve you thinking they're leads until that record shows you interest. And that is when they become a lead. The second piece of this is the ideal customer profile. So we often talk about ideal customer profiles. My favorite, hey, what's your ideal customer profile is anyone that ships. That's not true, right? So whatever your market is, it is not anyone that X. It is a hyper-specific demographic, technographic, and firmographic list. In the book, there's a really nice exercise you can do about how to identify your actual ideal customer profile. My ideal customer profile is a freight brokerage, super sexy, I know, freight brokerage, freight forwarder, or supply chain technology company over $1 billion. Ideally, private equity owned using HubSpot. That is how specific you need to be about exactly who your ideal customer profile is. Once you know your ideal customer profile, the last piece of track interest is disqualification is just as important as qualification. Anyone spent hours and hours, days and days, lots and lots of marketing time, energy, and money to get in front of someone who shouldn't have been your customer to begin with? No, just me, cool. So this is all about disqualification. Get them out of your pipeline. The funnel gets smaller at the bottom for a reason, and you can't go up the funnel physically. You can't move back up the funnel. It'll screw up your math and physically it's not possible. So make sure you disqualify. Lastly is following up. Harvard Business School and InsideSales.com did a study in 2016. I know, I'm aging myself and it's getting a little old, but I love it so much. So Harvard and InsideSales.com did a study in 2016 that says if you can talk to a human that shows you a buying signal in the first 5 minutes that human has showed a buying signal, you have a 900% better chance to close that deal. It is 900 times more likely that you will close a deal if you talk to a human that shows you a buying signal within the first 5 minutes. I did this once. It was super fun. So a guy sent a LinkedIn, not even a LinkedIn message, it was on my website. By the way, my website's garbage, nobody goes there. So he goes to my website, fills out a form, hits my HubSpot, hits my inbox on my phone, and I literally click the phone number and I call him. His name is Eric Fortmeyer, and he runs $1 billion freight brokerage. I was so excited. So I said, hey, Eric, it's Kara Brown. You just filled out a form on my website. Did you know that if your people do this, like follow up this fast, that you will close deals 900 times faster? And he kind of took a breath and he was like, okay, let's do that. He's been a customer for 8 years. So we practice what we preach. So when it comes to follow-up, most of us don't do it fast enough. We delegate it to someone else. We give it to the lowest rung person on the totem pole, right? We give it to an SDR. We give it to a 22-year-old. In my professional opinion, you are missing the opportunity cost of delegating that down to an SDR that isn't you, is the 900% better chance that you can close that deal yourself. So share good news, track interest, follow up, buy the book. I really appreciate it. Say something nice. November 19th, it comes out. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys.